The Aztecs are Sweet 16 bound for the second straight year with a national championship rematch with UConn coming up next. Hello and welcome to this special NCAA Tournament edition of Aztecs All In. I'm Louis Weiner along with Steve Perez. And Steve, a rare blowout win for the Aztecs over Yale.
In a typical tournament run, there's always one of these. I was a little apprehensive about it just because of the way they took out Auburn. And also, they got that elite mystique about them. They got the bula bula. They got the skull and bones. You never know what's going to happen against a team from back there. But the Aztecs pull it out.
Yeah, and you texted me early in the game a little warning that they're playing Yale and they may not win this game. And I took that. I said, okay, I'm going to pare it back a little bit. But then once the game started, when you win 85-57, there pretty much isn't much doubt about this one. And it was sort of like that the entire way.
Well, that's what happens when you make the Aztecs sit around all day on the West Coast waiting to play. They came out well-rested, hungry, and they feasted on Yale's Ivy League defense. That school is elite. Give them that. Their defense, not so much.
Not so much. And it was a long wait. I mean, I got up at 9 this morning, West Coast time, turned on the game, started watching, did some stuff for our podcast, and then it just took forever to get here. But then when it came, it was pretty fun to watch. Fun and exciting, as we say, huh?
My kind of game.
Well, San Diego State wins 85-57. And Steve, it really started out well for the Aztecs, right? They got out to a 13-3 lead at the first immediate timeout. They were 5 of 8, 62% shooting. LeDee, they were 3 for 5 from 3. LeDee had hit 2, Butler had hit 1, and Yale started out 1 of 7 from the field. The Aztecs shot a season-high 13 three-pointers. They were 13 of 25 from the field. The Aztecs poured it on early, and they just kept going. At the second media timeout, they led 19-12, and that was after Yale went on a 9-6 run. At that point, the Aztecs were shooting 7 of 12 for 58%. At about the 9-minute remaining mark, Miles Bird took a shot to the face. It was checked for a flagrant, no flagrant fouls, and that's when Yale went on a dry streak. At one point, they went 4 minutes and 34 seconds without scoring. At that point, the Aztecs were up 28-12. At the next media timeout, it was 34-16. And at the 2:39 media timeout, the Aztecs were up 20, 39-19, despite hitting just 1 of 5. The half couldn't have ended any better for San Diego State. Darrion Trammell hit a 3. He was fouled. It was a 4-point play that made it 45-21, and that was the halftime score. At halftime, the Aztecs were shooting 7 of 15 from three-point range. That's 46%. They only had 2 turnovers, although they did end up with 12 turnovers on the game, and many of those came late when the game was already out of reach. Most lately, over the last few weeks, the Aztecs have had many games where they've gone through really dry stretches. That did not happen today. The Aztecs just kept pouring it on, especially in the second half, when you thought maybe Yale might try to get back into the game. It didn't happen. The Aztecs kept pounding it in, and a Miles Bird 3 at the 9:15 mark made it 71-41, 30-point lead. And at that point, that was the 11th three-point shot for the Aztecs. After the game, Brian Dutcher talked about the team's dominating performance.
First of all, I want to congratulate Coach Jones and Yale on an outstanding season. They had our full attention. We knew they were good. We watched how they played against Auburn, and we were focused and ready to play. And that's a credit to my team. So I'm proud of our effort. We're advancing to the Sweet 16. We're heading on the road, play a road game against UConn in Boston. And I've got a group that I think will be up for the task. That this is nothing new to them, that just go out there, enjoy it, play fearless. This is the time of year to be fearless. And don't worry about making a mistake. Play your best. And we have experience in the tournament, and I think some of that experience showed over the last 2 games. I'll be intimidated, but I'll get them ready to play, and we'll go out there and we'll play in a hostile environment in Boston against a great UConn team and see where it ends up. That's the beauty of playing these games. So we're going to go in with a game plan and with a bunch of guys that believe they can win, and we'll see how it ends.
Steve, it was another rough game for Reese Waters and Micah Parrish. They went a combined 4 of 15 from the field, 0 3-pointers, and that has pretty much been the story. Parrish did have a pretty good game against Utah State in the Mountain West Conference tournament, but Reese Waters has really struggled to find his three-point shooting, and that just continues through the NCAA tournament as well.
It gets tougher. UConn awaits in the Eastern Regional Thursday. Boston, is it? The players have been talking about taking another crack at the squad that stopped them one game short of a national championship. Well, here we go again. But as for Yale, I don't think they've seen something quite like this Aztecs defense in the Ivy League. There are players on this team who know what must be done if you're going to advance in such a tournament. They have an extra gear, locked down with a stubborn and physical defense. Yale got their shots, but seemed like the Aztecs' defensive persistence bothered them enough that even when they were open or close into the basket, they'd still fall short. It was one of those games where you're leading by 20, you got the ball, time running out in the shot clock, under a minute left in the half. You're Darrion Trammell, and you take a baseline three with a guy closing on you. He knocks you to the ground, ref whistles foul, and the shot falls. That was one of his 18 on the night. They're showing Trammell a big old smile on his face. He makes the free throw, completing the rare 4-point play. Lewis, he had himself a half, as did all of the Aztecs, en route to doubling up the 13th seed in that first half. Second half, another one of those, about 15:58. Micah Parrish driving, trying to get untracked. He's got a bulldog hanging all over him. He somehow gets the shot off, and it banks in. Parrish ended the night with 9. That shot stopped a mini run by Yale, and at the time, the score was 55-32. Here's some reaction from Jaedon LeDee and Darrion Trammell on their games.
Just staying focused. I mean, that's really all it is, just out there playing and executing the game plan and letting it, flow with my teammates. I mean, that's really all I'm doing out there. We limited them to tough shots, tough twos. That's what the game plan was. We didn't let 3 and 4 get off with the threes, and we limited them to their second chance points, and we hit the glass pretty hard. So I'm happy with the victory. I mean, we came out victorious. That's what we tried to do. It's March. I mean, we know the severity of the situation. So, I mean, it's either you win or you go home. And, these two guys next to me, we got experience from last year. So, I mean, we knew we weathered the storm for the first game. And the second game, we was ready to play a lot more relaxed.
I think it's just the competition. I love the competition. I love a chance to show who I am, where I come from. It's just an opportunity to do that. I think that's what makes me play better in this time and with so much confidence. The first game is definitely always the hardest. Obviously, we go out there and play confident, but I feel like getting that first one under our belt, we come out much more loose and much more confident, and we were getting open shots. We've been putting the time and putting in the work, and there's no reason to go out there and be hesitant, so I think we just let it fly tonight.
So I mentioned earlier the Aztecs were up by 30+, and you did want to save some of that for UConn. It's a rematch with the players got a lot of questions about afterward.
It's good. We kind of had a little bitter taste in our mouths last year after they beat us, but I mean, we get to play them again, and they're a great team. We're gonna get back, game plan, and get ready to play them in Boston.
I think we're just excited. We get to get another crack at them. Obviously, they won the national championship last year, but I feel like we were right there. Just to get another chance at it, I think we're up for the opportunity. We have the team to do it.
Lewis, we'll close this little ditty with a note from the Money Pig's desk. Did you know Yale has the second largest endowment fund below Harvard? Cue the Bart Simpson ha-ha. But even second place in that department gets bula bula you, a lot of moolah moolah, not for you. So they started prior fiscal year with 41.4 billion simoleons. Even though their return was a paltry 1.8%, they were still able to generate $759 million in investment gains after paying off their money runners and the assorted peeps responsible for what Warren Buffett calls friction. Or, as he also called it in the same note, a lot of people with expensive tastes. And is that enough for the Yaleys? Since when? They are currently now in the midst of a $7 billion fundraising campaign, so good for them. Lewis, put the cherry on top of this Sunday for us.
Thank you, Steve. That will indeed wrap up our look at the Aztec rout over Yale. But wait, there's more. Remember the Aztecs to face Yale. They had to win their first game in the tournament, and they did indeed do that.
Lewis, the Aztecs will reach the 25-win level for the 10th time in program history with the 69-65 win over University of Alabama Birmingham Blazers in the first round East Region matchup in Spokane. That's 25 wins back-to-back in 2 consecutive seasons. Their first since a 3-season stretch began in 2014. Typical Aztecs game, looked great in spots. When an offensive lull, other team pulls close, they hold on in the end. Suffice to say, the Aztecs wouldn't have won without LeDee. Most of the country getting their first look at him in action in the game carried on TNT. LeDee scored 18 in the first half. He looked dominant, closed by getting to the free throw line more in the second when a weary Blazers squad could no longer disguise its fouls. LeDee finished with 32 points on 11 of 18 shooting from the field, made 9 of 10 free throws to go with 8 rebounds. Lamont Butler had 15 to go with a team-high 4 assists. The Aztecs built a 12-point advantage in the second half thanks to LeDee getting their bigs in foul trouble. That includes their leading scorer, Yaxel Lendenborg, who finished with 11 but also fouled out late in the contest. The Aztecs, though, locked down as a team on defense. Players like Reese Waters finding LeDee on offense. Butler sinking a tough jumper. Darrion Trammell coming up with 2 key rebounds on each end of the court. Aztecs LeDee, Trammell, Waters, Butler make just enough of their free throws to close this one out. Dutch says that's what comes from winning 5 straight in this tournament last year and also never underestimating your opponent.
I think all that experience we got last year paid off. When they came back, took a lead, we didn't panic, we stayed focused, we played hard, and we found a way to win. And I know there's a lot of NCAA records, but if there's one for putting fouls on a guy, I think Jaedon LeDee would have it right now. He's hard to guard. He puts a lot of fouls on people. We find him, and to his credit, he plays unselfishly. He moves the ball easily, but when his time comes, he was ready for it. Lamont, down the stretch, I just ran high ball screens for Lamont, let him create space and opportunities for his teammates. I thought they were ready for the moment. It's just UAB's a good team. So it was going to be a back-and-forth game. We didn't panic when they came back and took the lead. We stuck with it, and we made enough timely plays down the stretch. And that's what this time of year is, you know. Not everybody's going to win that deserves to win, and not everyone's going to lose that deserves to lose. It's just March Madness and survive in advance, all the cliches you want to say, and we found a way to survive a game, made enough timely plays, and came out with a victory.
Afterward, a crestfallen UAB coach, Andy Kennedy, congratulated the Aztecs along with LeDee. Says he knew his kids were going to be facing a tough opponent. Kennedy calls his squad a scrappy group that wants to be strong and tough like the Aztecs. They're not there yet. In winning their conference tournament in 3 games straight, the Blazers notched a total of 20 turnovers. Against the Aztecs D, they committed 14 in the loss. Aztecs outscored the Blazers inside on second-chance points. They held a 21-14 rebounding advantage when Blazers shots missed on offense. UAB finishes 23-12. Keep an eye on them, Lewis. It's their second appearance in the tournament in the last 4 seasons that Kennedy's been in charge.
Steve, the first thing Coach Brian Dutcher talked about during his post-game comments was the importance of experience and that it really means something in an NCAA tournament game. I think he nailed it because the best 2 players on the court were Jaedon LeDee and Lamont Butler, 2 guys who played for a national championship game last season. Butler and LeDee combined for 47 of the Aztecs' 69 points. They also combined for 11 of the team's 35 rebounds, and Butler accounted for 4 of the team's 10 assists. One thing is for sure, they kept the Aztecs play-by-play guy Ted Leitner really busy.
LeDee for 3. Good! Jaedon LeDee for 3. Down low, LeDee turns, slam dunk. Throw down with the right hand. But this guy Butler will steal it back and get it back himself. 2-hand slam dunk. Ball tipped away, taken by Lamont. All the way, Lamont. Slam dunk for the right hand. Lamont Butler turns on the Jets. On the dribble drive off the right hand. Got it off the glass. Jaedon with a turnaround 15-footer. Good! Jaedon LeDee after a great save by Micah Parrish on that ball. And San Diego State is doing what they normally do. Moving on.
Steve, we've seen all season long just how difficult it is for opposing teams to match up with LeDee. And as Dutcher said, he challenges the defense every time, and even when they try to match up physically, it's to the Aztecs' advantage because that usually means foul trouble for the player going up against LeDee. That was exactly the case in the UAB game, as their best player, Yaxel Lendenborg, did his best to battle LeDee, but only played 26 minutes and ended up fouling out of the game, finishing with just 11 points. Lendenborg talked about his struggles after the game.
It was terrible, for it to be such a physical game. I feel like if I was to touch anybody in any type of way, it would be a foul. But that's maybe just me, making excuses and getting in my head. But I tried to match LeDee's physicality. As soon as I did, boop, foul, and it messes with my head all game. It took me a while to even try to start being aggressive again because I was scared of the charge call or anything or just messing up for my team any more than I already did. But, hopefully next year we'll be back in the same position and I can avoid that foul trouble and we can get out the win.
We've had the pleasure of watching Jaedon LeDee all season long, and Aztecs fans know just how good a player he is. But for those coaches and players who aren't too familiar with LeDee, the NCAA Tournament gives them an up-close and personal look. He's imposing, he's intimidating, he's physical, and he can score from anywhere on the court. There are very few college basketball players who can do that these days, and that's why LeDee was named an All-American this season. And one guy who couldn't be more impressed is UAB coach Andy Kennedy. Here's a brief comment from LeDee on his performance, and then reaction from Coach Kennedy, who in talking about LeDee brought up one former NBA player and NFL legend Earl Campbell.
Just playing hard. My teammates was finding me in the right spots at the right times. Shout out to UAB. They're a really good team. I just, was hitting shots today. So.
No, they don't give out those All-American accolades just on a whim. You have to earn those. Tremendous player. As we were diving into San Diego State, this kid averaged 8 points and 5 rebounds last year. Granted, on a really good team that played for a national championship, but I don't know the young man. But man, he must be a worker. He must be a worker, and he really sees the opportunity that this team presented. And he is without question their anchor. For those of you old enough in the room, he reminded me on tape of a Danny Fortson. Remember Danny Fortson, Cincinnati guy? I didn't coach Danny. I was there slightly thereafter, and he ended up being a multi-time NBA player and played over a decade in the league. He reminds me of Danny Fortson, where he's just so rugged. Every trip down, he's looking for contact. He's great with his motor. Even that big body, doesn't get tired. We tried to wear him down a little bit, and he just didn't get tired. And they do a great job. Dutch does a great job with their spacing, and he's going to touch that thing when it's tight. And we knew that. We tried different things on him, obviously, to no avail. Our 1-2-2 back to 2-3 was a little more effective than our 1-3-1. The reason that our 1-3-1 wasn't effective was because of LeDee. When he got out of the game, we would go back to it, but he was just swallowing our back guy, who's typically, a 6'2" to 6'4" guard, and he was getting swallowed, and they were going right to him. So we were trying a little bit of 1-2-2 back to a 2-3. Reason being, LeDee would flash to the high post. Now he made some of those. One crucial one, end of clock, where he hit a Christian Laettner-like catch and shoot turnaround at about 16 feet right at the end of the clock, when honestly we had all the momentum. But that's what good players do. That's what All-Americans do. Yax has been playing outstanding. He was the MVP of the American Athletic Conference tournament, and this is the first time he's ever been in this stage, obviously, but also the foul trouble. We couldn't really execute some of the things we wanted to do because of the matchups. We just had fouls across the board, but we had no answer for him. Now I know what it must feel like to be a linebacker in the old AFC trying to tackle Earl Campbell.
Steve, so while LeDee's 32 points were the most ever by an Aztec in an NCAA tournament game, his 4 30-point games this season are the most by an Aztec since Tony Ross had 4 during the 1986-87 season, and it's tied for third most in SDSU single-season history.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of Aztecs All In. Steve Perez for Louis Weiner saying thank you for joining us, and make sure you check us out on that there X at Aztecs_all_in. And you can also drop us a note if you have a mind to spare a little piece of yours at aztecsallin@gmail.com. Thanks for stopping by. We'll meet up again sometime soon.